What's up, you guys? Sage here. Today we're going to be discussing disrupting the service industry in South Africa. We're going to make a couple of examples of places where this can be done, and we're just going to get into the whole concept and what brought me to this place and how you can also start to build and conceptualize ideas on what you can form a business on. We're focusing more on that beginning part that we were talking about yesterday, the pain aspect. Rather than the passion aspect or the professionalism aspect. We're talking about solving the problems that regard pain, and this is an example of that. So, the Home Affairs and Traffic Department, and generally the service industry as a whole in South Africa, is obsolete and mismanaged, and there are millions to be made in this industry or disrupting this industry. So an example, a very, very simple example would be if you go to the Home Affairs, you can spend up to 3 hours easily. You know, when I went to go get my ID, traffic department is absolutely no different. Going to do very, very simple things. Now, because the traffic department is so fresh, as you see, I'm soaking wet because I had actually gone today. But this is something that has been ruminating for a while and I've thought of, but today was sort of a bit of a lost straw, you could say, where I actually realized like, okay, no, this is time to actually speak up about this and put it out. But I wanted to experience it some more and to sort of be able to separate my own experience to the general, like how much is this my incompetence versus the system just being faulty and obnoxious and just tedious in terms of the processes, etc. So you go there, and I'm going to make a very specific example of the local traffic department here. There are 3 people working the front desk. When I say the front desk, I mean literally first reception. There are 3 people working that. There is one person who, like today, there was one person who was doing the eye tests, and that's what causes that long line in the traffic department is the eye test stations. Now, mind you, there are 5 stations in total that are installed in the place. I don't know if they're functional. I don't know what the case is because there's only one working, and it's none of the bigger ones that are off to the side. It's on a different side, and there are no cashiers on duty. There's no one manning the eye stations. There are 3 people working front reception, and it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense as a whole in terms of what we have to do, what we're required to do to begin with is just obsolete. Why do I need to, every single time I come here, I need to refill these forms? I need to recertify this, remake copies of that. I need to hand in this, that, all for a one-time usage, apparently. And then when I come for a different thing, I have to bring new forms that are newly certified with different proof of address and different this and different that. In 2024, I just really feel like this is an obsolete system. I really feel like it's absolutely unnecessary. And I think the only way, I was having a conversation with someone, I said, the only way to show them that this system is obsolete is by competing, is by creating a Home Affairs, me, myself, going out there and creating a Home Affairs. And I don't know how this would look like in terms of the certifications that you need to get, etc. But I believe that you can literally, and I promise you, there are millions to be made disrupting this market. You can literally go out there and create a Home Affairs, put it in the same vicinity as one of the government's Home Affairs, and we create one of ourselves. And in that Home Affairs, we're going to be AI enabled. We're going to be tech enabled. You're going to you're going to come in, give me your identity, your register. We're going to scan. So we're going to have to be connected to like the South African database, etc. So there are a lot of certifications and tedious work that needs to be. There's a lot of grudge work that needs to be done to get certified to be able to hold this kind of information. But as soon as we gain access to those types of things where we're able to, like a PEP does, scan an ID, and we're able to, in terms of a traffic department, we're able to scan a license, verify it, all that stuff. If we can get that part out of the way, then we can actually create a sort of app where you go into the app, you log in your details one time, or you have to update them once a year, whatever the case may be. But whatever the case, there is money to be made in solving the utter slow and sluggish process that is going to these places to do things that actually need to get done. I mean, the fact that in 2024, in these home affairs, now I don't know if this applies to home affairs all over the place, and it might. You can't even EFT to pay for what you need to pay for. You can make a card payment in person, and you can make a cash payment obviously in person, but you can't even EFT the home affairs. In what world are we living in where we can afford to do things so slowly? And the thing that I find is that they have quotas to meet in terms of the amount of people they hire, and hence there are 3 people working reception, and there are absolutely no cashiers, and there are no people doing the eye test, because you do need some level of training and skill, and they don't want to upskill and train employees so that they can man those stations, so that everything can just move and flow faster. Even with their obsolete system, they are failing. They are failing within their obsolete system. The system is already slow. And on top of that, speaking of systems, in what world in 2024 does a server fail multiple times a week? Multiple times a week, multiple times a month. And it's standard. It is known. We know this across the board that in South Africa, if you go to Home Affairs, in South Africa, if you go to the traffic department, you can get there and they'll say, no, the system is offline. PlayStation. Now, I understand that now I'm talking about a giant in terms of the amount of resources they've garnered, in terms of the amount of... But please understand this. PlayStation, their server, I've probably had that thing for the year. Twice? In fact, not even PlayStation Network. PlayStation Network has gone down maybe once, maybe twice this year. It's less than a handful of times. EA, a gaming network, same, once, twice. Home Affairs, every day. I'm laughing, but it's actually not a joke. It's actually so serious. That this is something that as a nation, our database as a nation, all of our identifications, all of our driver's licenses, all of our information is processed and filtered through these systems, and they can't hold up for an entire month. They're not working for an entire month. It is absolutely ridiculous the amount of time. If you think of the cumulative the cumulative amount of money that is lost by the individuals that have to wait in those lines for hours on end, because these people have jobs. You need to conceptualize that. You need to understand that. You need to understand that there is construction not being done because someone is at Home Affairs or someone is at the traffic department. There are multiple industries not at a halt, but that are losing a lot of time in terms of development because these systems are so slow. There is no way that as a country we can develop to the level that we want to develop, and we can become that type of nation we want to become. I think we all want to be living in a first world country. I think it would be great for us, or it would be something that's very good if we were able to become as efficient and we were able to compete globally. We will never be able to do that if multiple workers from different industries are having to spend, if you put those hours all together, there's multiple days of their lives sitting down waiting to do an eye test. This is why I didn't want to make this video, because it's so ridiculous that I have to make this video. Hours and hours sitting down waiting to do an eye test. Not actually sitting down practically doing what they're supposed to do. Not hours in the testing booth actually actually getting through the test itself is an hour. Driving test, hour, less than an hour that you spend going on. In fact, is it 20-30 minutes? But less than an hour that you go driving around. Learner's test it's about an hour, but you finish that thing in like 15 minutes. So an hour and 15 minutes is what you're spending 6 hours for. Really, South Africa? Really? Is that what we've got? Is that us? Are we serious now? Are we serious about ourselves and about becoming who we want to be in all these different various industries? Are we serious now? Is this us applying ourselves? Hours on hours on hours for an hour and 15-minute procedure in order to verify if this person's qualified to do this thing or not. No. That's not the one. That's one thing. The Home Affairs, the Traffic Department, there's money to be made in disrupting that. If we can get the right certifications to be connected to the right databases, or even form our own databases, like, I don't know what the actual procedure would look like. I don't know what the step-by-step would be, but we need visionaries in this industry. I, in fact, myself, I'm in search of industries to disrupt, and I'm putting a pin in this because I'm still doing my studies and I still want to learn more about business, and I want to speak the language. I want to get better at understanding certain things. But I'm putting a pin in this because there's no way we're supposed to be spending hours on end for something that takes an hour and 15 to conduct. It doesn't make sense at all. And on top of that, in dealing with these people one-on-one, and again, I constantly, I'm critical of myself. So I had to constantly, before I made this video, I had to constantly ask myself, Sage, is it you? Is it your incompetence? Are you impatient? I had to ask myself these questions, and time again, it has been made very clear to me that the people who are working in these stations don't need to be there. Oftentimes, most of what they do could be done faster, easier, and cheaper by some sort of software, some sort of AI, some sort of, just to process the systems. Okay, let's not get too deep into that, but just even within what they're doing now, they're doing it incorrectly. They are mismanaging the resources as they stand. And on top of that, even with them, with their mismanaged resources, they're still not able to do what needs to be done. We're wasting time. We're losing money in real time. We're losing people's lives, people's efforts, their passions, their time is being lost here. Over what? Over a couple thousand that someone's busy saving somewhere. Someone's tucking a couple thousand in their pocket, not to train employees and not to get the right individuals in the right places so that the system can, who cares about the system, bro? We all know, it's Home Affairs. They're slow. It's the traffic department, bruh. You know you're going to spend a whole day. They don't, come on. It's, buy a G-Wagon. Nah? Okay, South Africa. And then the service industry in general. Now, that's one conversation. Let's set that aside and let's start the conversation about the service industry. Now, I've worked in the service industry. I've been a cashier before. And when we talk about that mismanagement, it's a more interesting topic. Now, this is that one. I have solutions. I have problems. I have solutions. Here. Let's talk about it. Let's explore. Let's think a little bit. I worked at ShopRite, cashier. As I was working there, more often than not, we would be understaffed. More often than not. There are 8 possible tills, some of them are not working. But again, you understand the cost of business, you know? And you have to sort of like factor that in among other things. But even with that, you sort of think to yourself, okay, if there are meant to be 8 of us here, there are 3 of us instead. But all 3 of these lines are packed. Where does the money go? And okay, yeah, Jaman. Sorry for the cup, man. I had to take care of something quickly, but yeah, this one here, I have some solutions for you. Here, let's begin to ponder, perhaps. So I've worked in the service industry. I've worked as a cashier. In fact, let me. There's some other relevant experience that I can bring to you. Yo, but I don't know if I can. Okay, I'm gonna spare you the details because I really can't talk about it because it's something that's in the works right now. But I've been in the service industry. I've worked as a cashier, at a ShopRite, and at the time, most of the time, there's gonna be out of 8 tills, there's gonna be 3 of us manning the tills. And the line is going to be packed to the brim in all 3 tills by 5 o'clock. So my question then becomes, where does the money go from all these packed tills, and yet there are no cashiers? Where does the money go? Now, is it just the cost of business? You know what I'm saying? Is that a conversation that we need to have? That it's too expensive to conduct business in South Africa, and that's why our service industry is so slow. Is someone trying to pocket that money at the expense of the people's time? Is minimum wage too high? Because a lot of these great first world countries, these giant industries, were built off of the back of some sort of slave labor. And even now, there are cases of restaurants, etc., that are hiring illegal immigrants as waiters because they can pay them less. So is that perhaps our issue? Is minimum wage too high in terms of the side of things, in terms of the service industry? You know, but the question becomes, how do we solve this? You know, how do we solve for these issues that we are having in real time? I mean, you can go to your local Capitec, you'll find that they're understaffed. You'll go to your local, whatever the case may be, and you'll find that there are fewer people working. There are fewer working than there are cash points or points of payment. Points of sale. You see, service industry, I was there. Okay, and then you compare that. The relevant. You compare that to there's this other company, huge company. You'd know it, and their industry. So I was going in there, and their points of service, their service stations are manned to the gills. In terms of, you look out, where you see a desk, you see a head, Baba. There's none of this, none of this one lane maybe of people and then the rest is empty. None of this, the 8 points and you only see 1, 2, like maybe 3 people working, 4 if you count the guy at the front. None of that. And this is a foreign-owned entity that is operating here in South Africa. and they have manpower. Manpower is there. So again, in order to build up to something like that, because obviously it's there, which means, okay, what I'm trying to say is, which means we're not thinking incorrectly when we think, why are there only 3 people but there are 8 stations? We're not thinking incorrectly, because there you see excellent service and all the stations are manned. Perhaps there's a correlation. And not just in that, okay, more people means more work, but also the type of place that would spend whatever it is extra in order to get the extra from the customer so they can charge extra for the product, and the people will have the extra to pay for the product because they're not wasting all of their time being here. Do you get what I'm trying to do? Do you see how economy which is why in my mind I was like, bro, scrap the jobs. There are lots of jobs to scrap in terms of these departments now, and then the places here. A lot of people are going to lose their jobs, but that's okay because we're going to create a lot more jobs. When we start moving in the direction of AI, the issue then becomes, and what is why the people managing and mismanaging this don't want to move forward, because the issue becomes, now we need skilled labor. Now we need to invest in infrastructure to train, to test, and to continue to develop our workers. And the question is usually, what if we put all that work into someone and then they leave? But the question you should be asking yourself is, what if we don't and they stay? It's a fundamental mentality of the management where is it a lack of understanding of money, of economics, of cash flow? Do they not understand the correlation between money and time? And literally, bro, like I said, this is just me and you. This is me and you were thinking through this. If you think of things, please comment down below, because I'm also in search of ideas and solutions when it comes to this side of things. Here, Baba, software, AI, fire incompetence, bring them back, because we need. Listen, guys, we're not saying that there's not going to be entry-level jobs. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are still going to need clean floors. You know what I'm saying? Like, we still need the actual people to come test. We do need someone to come in. Hey, do you have a license? Okay, you good dude. Okay, come here. Come test these kids, see if they can drive. We need all of that. But there are certain jobs that will just fall by the wayside, and that's okay, because that then opens, okay, if this thing is working like this, then we're going to need someone skilled to come watch over the system, make sure that it's constantly up. We are feeding our IT industry, right? Because we're going to need people to develop these websites, to make sure these websites stay up, to do the things, man, and make the things thing. So we are going to create a lot of jobs here that are going to be higher skilled, higher paying, and that's going to merit, even that's money going back into the education system, and that's education that is going to be relevant, because now there are jobs being created for that industry. Otherwise we fall behind. We fall behind because the reason why kids in India are studying IT is because some of the, say, there's this big company, I think it may be an insurance company out there, that was 1 to 10. Like, out of 10, everyone was an engineer that they were hiring, and now it's up to 4 to 10, right? So out of 10, there are 4 people that they're hiring that they're engineers. So basically, that economy is moving towards engineering. And so the people studying will study the relevant studies in order to get into those positions. So now we're getting stuck in a situation where, this is completely different, a completely different tangent and topic, but we're going to talk about like the high unemployment, and we can actually link that to the lack of relevant jobs being created, And more so, it is there are people with degrees and diplomas that are unemployed, and there are people without degrees and diplomas that are employed. What does that tell you? That tells you that these people are looking for jobs that are not there. Perhaps, I'm theorizing. They're looking for jobs that are not there, and more oftentimes are not willing to stoop down to hear where the jobs are. Why are the jobs here? Why are they not there? Do you get what I'm trying to say? But like I said, this end of the video is more just theorizing, having conversations on how we can solve and start and begin to tackle some of these problems. So yeah, if you guys have any idea, man, in terms of is it just the cost of business is too high, is because China enslaved their own people, right? China, they're legendary for their sweatshops making the iPhones, industry booming. You know, Japan, I think it was pretty much the same thing. India, they have different costs. We're not going to get into the politics of that, but that means that there's a workforce that is being exploited in order for the system to work. I mean, that's been the fault of capitalism since its formation. Basically, is the initial that first kick has to come from somewhere. You know, the money doesn't come from thin air. I know it looks like it does, but it doesn't actually. Someone has to really do something. You know, someone's life is going to be dedicated to doing this menial thing that is helping the company overall and making the company a lot of money. It's great for the overall development of this structure, which is going to create more jobs, which is going to be better for society, etc. But it's not that good for them. It's not skilled labor. They're not going to use that time to instead develop themselves, etc. So maybe there's some serious conversations we have to have around that. But there are millions to be made, multi millions to be made disrupting the service industry in South Africa. It is truly dog water. It is absolute dookie water, bro. In fact, do you know what I thought of as well? There are places where there are these self-service stations. And in fact, speaking of self-service stations, in the gas stations, in the petrol station, in the garage, there are no people manning those stations in the US of A. You go in, you pay for a certain amount of gas, you come out, your damn self. You go to some of the biggest stores that side. There's a self checkout. There's a self service. Ding ding ding. You leave. I think it's high time. It's high time, gents, that we start looking into developing things like this. Self-service booths, maybe even at the Home Affairs, at the traffic department. We start disrupting these industries, because a big issue that creates these industries that are sluggish and that are slow is a lack of competition. And in that way, I believe in capitalism. Because I believe that in order to best serve, the only people who are concerned about best serving the people are the people. And we need to realize that the government was never meant to have their fingers in all these pies. It was never meant to have such a big influence in business, tender this, I'm going to create school for that. It was never meant to be that, Chief. And that's why it's failing today in our mixed economy. And it's high time for us as entrepreneurs to step up, step into these industries, disrupt. There are millions to be made. I've said it once, twice, 3 times, say it again. There are millions to be made, genuinely. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Sage, signing out.
myself, but